Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Sons of the Forest. It's your pal Filthy with you once more. We've got a good one planned for us today. As you can see, I'm placing some logs down, and that will all make sense in a little bit here. Basically, I was trying to come up with a way to build a gate for this area in that, like, I knew I wanted the gate. Initially, I wanted it underneath the rope bridge there, but it just wasn't quite working, so I started playing around, and I ended up deciding I'm going to create essentially a welcome center. Obviously, it seems a little counterintuitive since this island is covered in cannibals, but regardless, cannibals were turned off in this play file, so it doesn't really matter all that much. So, as you can see, I'm just kind of placing logs down, and now I'm going to be placing the front, or I guess technically the back, technically the front, depending on your perspective on things. But yeah, the idea is I'm just trying to get the outline for the most part, and now I'm going to be working on where the actual gate is going to be. I really want it to be centered with these three posts that I'm working on, and now the three posts that I've pulled up. And again, the idea is I want the gate to be centered where those three posts would have come together, and hopefully it can come together, which, spoiler note, it does come together, but there is some issues we don't see until much later. Also, if my video sounds a little bit different, sounds a little bit off, that is because I am recording the voice for this well after the fact. Essentially, what had happened was I wanted to play around and do some test building, and my wife and a friend kind of convinced me, it might be good to record your test builds. That way, if it does come together, then you're not playing catch up. You're not having to do it a second time just to do your recording. So that's, Kelvin, I appreciate that you're trying to be helpful, but that is not what I needed you to do. Please stop that. But yeah, as I was saying, I recorded this late at night. I was just kind of playing around, seeing what I could come up with, and I ended up finishing the entire welcome center, the entire building. So I ended up being like, you know what, I'm not going to do that a second time. I'm not going to go through all that work. So here I am working on the front portion of it, or the gate portion of it, and at the end of the day, it ends up being very good, I think anyway. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I thought it looked pretty good. As you can see, both doors open and close, hopefully. Yeah, see, they both close. So, as I was saying, I got the build relatively put together, in the sense that it was entirely put together, and you know what, I told myself I was not going to do that a second time, because I played for probably about 4 or 5 hours, and I wasn't going to do that extent of building again. But with that said, what we are working on, this building is actually going to be at least 2 videos, if not 3, in the sense that I recorded it in a couple of sessions, not literally in a couple of sessions, but it took me like starting and stopping. And as you can see by the words on the screen, I noticed an issue while editing that I should have caught while I was playing, and I will hold off until later in the video to discuss what exactly that issue is. For right now, I'm just kind of putting a pseudo building over the gate, because I wanted the gate to be something more than literally just a wall of logs that I turn into a gate. So that's really where this idea came from, and the fact that I built my wall where I did meant that I had to do something specific. And I'm putting the struts in here so I can take out this post and kind of throw that aside and go back and do the other side now. And again, I wanted this to be more than just a wall of logs, so that's really what sparked this idea. And where I built was problematic in the sense that, like, I couldn't quite line things up to be centered properly. I'm going to get a log stand here for Kelvin to work on, just to give him something to do, because he, as you can see here, he's already wandered off on me. And it's like, hey man, I kind of need you to do that. Pretty slick-headed, if I do say so myself, but that's neither here nor there. So now we're going to keep going with the front or back entrance, again, depending on your perspective and how philosophical you are. Regardless, we're going to be working on the side of the building closest to the gate. And at this point in the video, I haven't quite decided what I'm going to be building the floors out of. I'm leaning towards rock, but I know it was a conversation I had with myself about what do I think would look best, because all of my other buildings, except for my main house, are built, the walls and stuff are made out of stone, and then the floors are made out of wood, but I know for here I wanted to make it look a little bit different, so that's still up in the air, just like myself as I keep jumping around. Okay, so yeah, I've now decided that I need rock, and because I'm using log hack, I'm gonna eventually jump over this rock, take that, and here you go. We're gonna fill in the floor, and you can see that the rocks are the stones, excuse me, are going in much faster. The idea behind that was I installed mods, like, technically speaking, log hack is not a mod, it's a console command. It's a way for developers to manipulate and what have you, but what the mod I installed is it's called Game Manager. It actually comes with the application you need to install mods, and essentially you can skip the building animation, so you don't have to see him put the rock down, put the logs down. It literally just skips that part and places it. So when it comes to stone in particular, it is especially helpful because you can just spam the button, and as fast as you can hit the right trigger or click the left mouse button, whatever it is you use to play, is how fast you can put the stones down. And I'm just kind of filling in the floors a little bit more because I know that eventually I'm going to want things to look fuller, and I don't want to be figuring out later in life that I can't quite place the stones or the logs the way that I want to, so that's why I've started putting all the squares down. Get out of the way, rock, and now, again, using the mod. It's not something you have to, like, turn on and off. It's literally in the start menu. You can go in and decide that I want to skip building animation, so it's just a checkbox, but it saved a lot of time. Like I said earlier, I spent probably about 4 or 5 hours total on this build, and compared to previous builds, like for instance the electrical shed that I did in the last episode, that took me about 2 hours, give or take, and about 25-30 minutes of that was just placing rocks, where in this 5-hour build, I think I spent maybe 10-15 minutes. So it's an obvious time saver. Like you can literally see, I'm just spamming the button, and that's you actually just saw there the problem with spamming the button is you occasionally add rocks and stuff to the wrong spot. And that is not an extra mod, that's literally just me cutting around, placing some of the stone just to make it a little bit quicker. And again, like I said, you can, the caveat to having no building animation is if you spam the button a little bit too hard, you end up filling in spots that you don't necessarily want, like that. Okay, go away rocks, and now I believe we are going to be telling Kelvin to go ahead and take a break. No, we're getting him to fill the holder. Now that he's actually built the holder, that's going to come in handy, because as much as I use log hack, as much as it's become like an everyday use for me in this game, for stuff like this, I want to try and do that. Like I was saying before, that is my biggest flaw with no building animation is if you don't notice that you're clicking in the wrong spot, then you have no chance to correct it before it happens. So that's what happened there. Now I'm just kind of filling this in, which I will note creates a different problem later in the video, but that's neither here nor now. Neither here nor there, excuse me. Let me just get rid of these 2 planks up here because I don't need them. They will be moved a little bit later, and I'm just trying to fill this in. Again, the idea being I don't want to get later in the build and then have it come up that it's like, oh, I can't fill that in. So now we're just trying to build this as much as we can to a certain point, and I believe that this is basically where we leave the gate portion of our build until a later video even. Give me the logs again. No, that's half log. Don't need that. Kelvin, where are you going with that? I might need that. Oh, well, I guess not. Never mind. So we're just going to keep working on this, and like so. And just while I've got you, thank you so much for watching. It's greatly appreciated. Depending on how this video turns out, oh God, I hate that it does that, and now I can't place the log underneath because there's planks on it. But yeah, as I was saying, depending on how this video goes and how I feel about it when it's finished product, I may just go into doing videos in this form full-time, because the actual building process for me was much more easily done, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, it's not that I find it harder to talk and be checking back in as I'm building, but it was a lot easier for me to kind of know that all I have to worry about is building, and you know, I don't have to talk, I don't have to worry about fumbling over words, that kind of thing, which, as you know, is something that I struggle with. But yeah, all that to say, thank you so much for watching. It's greatly appreciated, and yeah, we'll keep working at this, which is something I end up saying in my other form of recording and stuff. So it's a little bit weird that I'm still using it here. Okay, so the next thing we're working on is I'm changing around the. I have to take down the rope bridge, in the sense that when I go to put a roof on much later in the process. Hi, Virginia. How are you? You doing okay? Yeah, you're good. Okay, perfect. So yeah, and when I go to put the roof in later in the process, I knew that had to be out of the way, because during my test build, I learned that while that's there, you can't put anything, like, you can't stand anything up underneath it, so it was going to be problematic no matter how you twisted it, and I knew for a fact that it was going to be a problem when we go to do the roof in a later video. God, every time. And that's probably one of the biggest issues I have with this game, is that it just seemingly random, or it seems to decide randomly, to use better English, when it's just completely changing what you're working on. See, like, there's no real reason, in my opinion, that it stopped filling in the floor and started filling in like a wall. That didn't make sense. So that's why you saw me hesitate there, because it was kind of like a, oh god, I need to relax. That's infuriating. Okay, and now we need a half log, which will pay itself off in a little bit here. And now we're about to notice, yeah, just noticed here, that I have created multiple problems with my little gatehouse portion of the building, in the sense that what I want to make here and what I'm working on here is a little, like, covered porch section that people can look out from, and you need a half log in order to place the railings appropriately. So here we are trying to disassemble that. Not that it's going all that great. We're getting hit by logs and stuff. Kelvin, I need you to get out of the way. I think I told him to get out of the way, but regardless, it's sorted out now. So now we need that half log back. And like I said, that is purely so we can put, that's not the right word, that's also not appropriate fill, so we can put a railing there without it being awkward or impeding another part of the build. So we've got that. I need a half log back again, and that's the blessing and curse of log hack, is that there's always going to be scrap laying around. Unfortunately, it often leads to things being way too cluttered and ends up being frustrating. So throughout this video, I end up turning it on and off, because it's just, when you get to a certain point, it's like, okay, I need to get rid of some of this scrap. So let me turn off log hack and make use of the scraps that I've made. So we've got that. Now I need the axe, and we're just trying to spice it up a little bit, trying to make it look nice, if it'll let me. There you go. So that's one thing with the skip building animation, is when you go to cut holes out of things when you go to cut holes out of logs and stones, you have to cut it twice because for whatever reason, I guess the animation is part of what knocks it out of the hole, so that's why each of those you saw me having to hit it twice. And that's going to come up a little bit later in the video, actually, where I have a problem doing that with a doorway, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so that's taken care of now, and now we can go about working on the floor, I believe is next. Nice, I was right, which is sad that I literally just finished editing the video side of this and I've already forgotten what happens next. I think we just kind of plug away at the floor here, and I decided that primarily I wanted the floor to be out of stone, and if you look around the open stone, or the big stone right in the middle of this building, I used wood, which was to contrast my main building. And see, this is what I was talking about with not being able to cut the top part of it. I'm not. I think it's because of the no building animation, but it's hard to say. Maybe I was just standing in an awkward spot, but it's like, oh, I can't cut that. Maybe it's broken. Because that has happened sometimes. You know, I realized after the fact that something was damaged and that's why I couldn't use it. But that's not the case. Let's try and add a door. Unless I'm a hobbit, that size door is not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and put that back. And let's see if I can take the top rocks off, which I'm not sure why I decided to look down for that. So place those, go ahead and try chopping it one more time. Thank you. So you chop, and then the box to tell you to chop again has disappeared. And as I learned from, I actually cut away in a second here, that, yeah. So there you go. I cut away primarily because I spent the next 10-15 minutes just trying to figure that out. Basically, the problem was I just wasn't standing in the right spot for the box to show up again to tell me to cut. And here, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Like, I thought that looked okay, but a big part of what I had in my mind when I was conceptualizing this building as I was working on it, because I didn't really plan ahead per se, was I wanted the big stone in the middle to be like the centerpiece of the building, you know. And in a future video I'm hoping that maybe I can get some spotlights that point right at it so it's always kind of like glowing and stuff. And here I am trying with logs to see if maybe that looks a little bit better. And, spoiler alert, it does not, in my opinion. You might disagree with me, but yeah, I give this a go, and then finally, I believe there's one more attempt at making this look nice, because I realized halfway through this that, yeah, see, attempt number 3, because it, again, having the stones and logs up that high, I felt were pulling away from the big rock in the middle, that it wasn't really the focus anymore, because there was things literally blocking your view of it. So I put just quarter logs all along the bottom, and now I fill it in with the stone, and I thought that kind of looked significantly better, that the big rock right in the middle is very much the focus, and I think it looks cohesive, because what I pictured in my head when I was working on this part was when you go to like museums and ancient forts and stuff like that, they tend to have like a railing between you and the display, and that's kind of what I had in mind. Was in my head this rock is of significance, and that's why one of my least favorite things about this game is when it randomly pulls rock or logs out when you weren't even trying to pull them out. So essentially I'll have to disassemble that entire wall again, but for right now I need to figure out where to put this torch. Over in the gatehouse maybe. But yeah, just finishing that train of thought with the stone in the middle. The idea was, if this was in fact a welcome center, it would be cool if there was one centralized piece that kind of pulls you in, draws your eye, and you... Actually, the design I end up coming up with I thought was really cool. I used the weapon racks as a way to make it look like those plaques you would see on like a museum display or something like that. So now what I'm realizing is I have to fill in that wall again, which I did, and this is also where I realized that where I had made the mistake with the guardhouse. I noticed it around now, actually, that the doors don't line up from left to right or right to left, however you want to word it. Like, if you look at the square, the door on the left-hand side is further back than the door on the right. So, like, it's technically a straight line, but they're not on the same plane. So that's why I was having to fart around with this torch to be like, oh, I don't know where to put it. Okay, how do I do this, since I'm not going to disassemble the whole thing? And that was literally the thought process, was how do I do this without having to take the whole thing apart? So, no, don't grab that. Grab that. There you go. And now I put that, kind of make sure it's on the same plane as the other one. And now I believe I can take out this entire wall, which... as I was saying, the whole reason that I had to take out the entire wall was because I randomly lost the log that was the support beam for no other reason than because I was trying to move a torch. But that is exactly what happens with this game. And back to work with the stones, I believe. Yeah, there we go. We're getting all that. Got to fill in the walls there. Mm-hmm. And... again, keeping with the concept of a welcome center, what I create here is eventually we're going to put some armor stands behind that, and kind of as if people were queuing up to buy tickets or whatever, or get information, that kind of thing. So that's why either side of the centerpiece there, I have it in that pattern that I love. Kelvin, get out of the way, man. No, you're just building a wall now. Cool. But yeah, again, the idea is that I want it to be like a welcome center, so there's essentially like an information booth on the one side is what I had pictured in my head, and we're just finishing up the floor here, which, again, I want to emphasize with the no building animation mod, that is an absolute game changer for using stone. That it goes down so much faster, so much smoother. I had to replace that wall because I knew that I was going to be building things a little bit differently. Like, I intentionally wanted that building closed off from the inside of the Welcome Center, so with the idea being, oh, you know, staff is only allowed on the one side, or myself and Kelvin kind of deal. And then I also knew that I wanted this front portion to be wood to kind of break up the stone look, and in general I thought it just, you know, you want some variety in your build, so I thought it made it look a little bit different. And we're gonna finish putting stone around here. One thing you'll notice with this method of recording, or at least I noticed anyway, and you might have noticed before I bring it up just now, is it's very sporadic. It's very random. Like, I find when I'm building without having to worry about talking or anything like that, it's, oh, this would be cool, and then I start trying it, and then without having finished the previous task. So for right now, like, I was intending to finish putting in the floor, and instead I'm like, you know what would be cool is if we put a rope bridge from here to here. And the idea with that is literally just to tie that walkway going down the wall to the Welcome Center. It's not necessarily like anything special. I knew I wanted the two things to be connected, because again, if this was like a welcome center, if this was a community, if this was a sanctuary of sorts, then yeah, you would probably want your civilians, your citizens, to be able to walk down the wall and kind of take advantage of the space. So now I'm going to start working on the front of the building, or the back, again, depending on your perspective. To me, this is the front of the building because you would be coming in from the outside world, whereas the portion with the gate is the back in the sense that you go out that way. But again, it's all a matter of perspective, because you could be going into the building from the gate side, thus making it the front of the building. Regardless, that's very nonsensical and silly, but it is what it is. Okay, so now I'm going to be working on just placing all those logs, and this is something that I struggled with tremendously. Not in, like, not knowing what to do, but how to execute it. Because when I did a test of the test build beforehand, I learned that if you put, in theory, if you place the half logs, 3 logs in, I should be able to take out all of the posts. But for whatever reason, that post just simply won't come out. And that's something I continue to advocate for with this game, is a little word bubble or a symbol or something to tell you why something doesn't work. Not just the little X, because I would like to know what the problem is so I can fix it, as opposed to just guessing. You see, like, I go as far as to literally create, like, a full support system just to see if maybe that's the problem, and it's not. Still don't know what it is, so it made me have to pivot my build. It made me have to change what we were doing, which is really unfortunate, but alright. So here, I got very tired of Kelvin and Virginia literally standing right in my face at all times, so I just turned them off because it was very frustrating. The only catch with that is if you do AI disable, even if you go AI disable off, they don't come back. You have to spawn them back in, which means that my Virginia, I'm going to have to earn her trust again and what have you, which is kind of lame. And like I continue to say, with this game, it kind of forces you to pivot at times, and this is another scenario where that happens. I was like, okay, you know what? This isn't the end of the world. If I put a log here and then throw some half logs on that, I can turn this into something. Like, it still can look pretty good, I think. So that was the decision there, and now we're going to be going up because I need to start getting the roof going. We're coming to the end of the video here in a little bit, but I needed to get this going because I needed, as I continue to say, I didn't want it to be a situation where I took it for granted that I could do the roof, and then, you know, it doesn't end up working out. So right now what I'm working on is an awning off the front of the welcome center. Just, I thought it would look a little bit nice, and in my head I pictured being able to put some, like, benches underneath the awnings on the outside of the building so people can sit down, they can have a nice chat, they can grab some food from inside and then come out and enjoy the space, enjoy the nature, that kind of thing. But with that said, I had to continue to make sure that I was incorporating the roof, and that's why I moved on to this particular portion, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't taking for granted my ability to make the roof. And frankly, what I end up doing with the roof, I'm kind of really proud of, but that's probably not going to be until the next episode. In fact, I know it's not until the next episode. Okay, and you'll notice anytime I actually... Oh, no, you can't... I dislike that. The way that I've built this, I can't place... it doesn't place the logs that, like, get cut off. So you have to use a full log, and then the full log ends up sticking through the wall. It's a whole to-do. So that's why I do that. Every time I went to climb up on the roof, I fell. So that was... It, looking back on it, it was kind of funny that it was literally every single time I fell. But before that, it was a little bit problematic, because it's... At this point, I was starting to get frustrated by the things that just weren't cooperating, so to fall off the roof was like, really? Oh my god, stop! But again, in hindsight, it's pretty funny that it was literally every single time that I went to jump up on the roof section that I would fall. And that continued even as I was adding the roof in the future episodes. I also had the realization after I built all of this extra awning that I was now blocking part of the doorway that I wanted to have for the welcome center, so that's why I'm taking it down here, because I figured, oh, I'll just put the awning being only 2 squares on either side, and then that should leave a nice big opening for people to come in and out of. That's really the thought process there. Give me that. And that. And yeah, at this point I had turned log hack off because I had created just a mass, essentially log graveyard at the bottom of the hill. So that was kind of the antithesis of me turning it off again. I can never jump over anything. Anyway, so while I'm working on this, we're actually coming to the end of the video here. I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for watching. If you like to go ahead and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff, and I know that it seems so cliche to ask people to do this on a regular basis, but it really does help. As I've confessed in previous videos, I never thought for a minute that I would feel validated by likes and comments and stuff on a silly video, but regardless, I do. So it's very much appreciated, and I hope that if you can, by all means, go ahead. And you know what? If you can't, you don't feel like it, I completely understand, but thank you regardless. If you've reached this point of the video, you've dedicated more than a couple minutes of your time, and it's greatly appreciated. I think what we are trying to figure out here is how do I place the logs, and I remembered that I missed a step by not adding the half log there. So that's that, and now I should be able to place the pulleys in order to create the exact same effect on this side of the building as I did on the other side. Just, not enough logs, that's the problem. But thank goodness we have this log graveyard that I was referencing a minute ago. There you go, and that should about do it with that once I get those placed. Notice that I'm walking more carefully, because this was on the heels of probably falling 10-15 times just trying to get up there. Through some creative editing, I was able... No, I learned that from the other side. I literally just realized that I tried to do that. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and bye!